My father sent me to my husband's company to test him. A surprise inspection, he called it. I thought it would be a formality. I wasn't even 5 steps inside the office when I saw her. A woman dressed in a look of curated innocence, staring at an industrial shredder as if it were magic. Wow, this thing is so cool, she breathed. And then, without a second thought, she picked up a contract from a nearby desk and started to feed it in. A colleague next to her went pale. Lexi, for God's sake, stop, he yelped, diving to snatch it back. Weren't you in Carter's office playing video games? Why are you out here? She just giggled. Heh, I got thirsty. As if on cue, her hand holding a full cup of water jerked. The entire contents splashed directly onto the main power switch on the wall. The office went dark, followed by a collective cry of despair from every cubicle. I grabbed the arm of a young intern. Who in the hell hired that woman? He immediately put a finger to his lips. Keep your voice down, he whispered, his eyes wide with fear. That's our boss's wife. Mr. Hayes' wife. I heard this whole division is technically hers. He gave me a weary look. Are you new? You get used to it. She usually just stays in his office and doesn't bother anyone. A sharp pulsing pain started in my temples. If she was Carter's wife, then what was I? Ma'am, are you okay? The intern asked, his brow furrowed with concern. You look really pale. I forced a smile that felt like cracking glass. Fine, just surprised. I looked out at the open Zan plan office. I'm just surprised a place like this would have someone like that on staff. It's an Zan opener. The intern gave a bitter little shrug. Like I said, you get used to it. As long as she doesn't actually break anything, we just try to survive until she gets bored and goes back in his office. I didn't say anything else. Doesn't actually break anything. If that contract had been shredded, a multi-million-dollar acquisition would have imploded. The fallout, the financial loss. Who would have answered for that? I watched Lexi's silhouette in the break room. She was humming to herself, her body swaying to a rhythm only she could hear. My hand went to my phone, my thumb hovering over my father's contact. But then I stopped. Just leaving now would be letting Carter off too easy. My father sent me here to evaluate his performance. And from what I'd just seen, it wasn't just his performance that was in question. It was his judgment, his character, his integrity. I needed to see just how deep the rot went. I smoothed down the front of my blazer and walked back to the reception desk. Hi, my name is Audrey Sterling. I'm from the corporate headquarters here for the divisional review. My voice was calm even. I'll need a temporary workstation, preferably somewhere quiet. And one more thing, this is an internal audit. I don't want Mr. Hayes to be aware of my presence. The receptionist nodded, her professional smile unwavering. I found a quiet desk in a far corner of the office, settling in behind the monitor. My eyes, however, were fixed on Lexi. She had emerged from the break room and was now staring intently at the fire alarm pull station on the wall, a dangerous curiosity gleaming in her eyes. With Carter out for the day, Lexi's boredom quickly reached its peak. She drifted out of the general manager's office again, a ghost of chaos haunting the cubicles. She floated through the office, a walking, talking disruption. One moment she was poking at a designer's freshly rendered graphic, leaving a smudge on the monitor. The next, she was leaning on a programmer's keyboard, inserting a string of gibberish into a line of code. You could feel the collective tension rise wherever she went. People held their breath as she approached, only to exhale in a rush of relief and frantic damage control after she passed. Her tour eventually led her back to the break room kitchenette. She was apparently thirsty again. She picked up a disposable cup and held it under the water cooler spigot. I don't know if her hand slipped or if it was intentional, but she jerked. A full cup of water flew sideways, arcing through the air in a perfect shimmering wave. It crashed directly against the wall beside the cooler, right where the main circuit breaker for the entire floor was housed. There was a loud, wet crackle, a flash of angry blue sparks, and then nothing. The overhead lights died. Every computer monitor went black. For a few seconds, there was absolute silence. Then, the silence was shattered by a tidal wave of anguish and despair. My code, I've been working on that script all morning. I hadn't saved. The pitch deck, the client presentation is in 2 hours, it's gone. The quarterly reports,